Hey, this is Andy with CDA Idaho Clothing Company, and welcome back to our 4th episode of our Coeur d'Alene Coffee Culture series. Today we're going to interview a friend of mine. His name is Tyler C. Tyler C. is part of a group called Doppio Gang. Doppio Gang is a group committed to kind of educating the coffee consumer about coffee, and they've done some events here in town and things like that. So we're going to learn more about Doppio Gang, and then we're also going to learn about Tyler's own experience with coffee. Hope you enjoy this episode.
So my name is Tyler C. I am one of the members of Doppio Gang, which is probably one of the oldest coffee gangs in the world. The lure of Doppio Gang goes back to like the 15th century. Some say, this is the speculation, you know, somewhere in Africa. They say that Africa is the birthplace of coffee, and then some would say that it's also the birthplace of Doppio Gang. You want there to be this connection between coffee and the people who drink it. And sometimes the people who drink it aren't necessarily coffee professionals or other types of coffee consumers. And so over time, you know, since the 15th century, there's been this like gap between the coffee consumer and the coffee professional. And, you know, over the sands of time, we've been out here in these streets trying to connect people with the knowledge of coffee, which means sometimes you just have to let a person know what a doppio is. And a lot of people don't know that a doppio is just 2 shots of espresso. Some people just put that 2 shots and cover it with a bunch of milk. And then others of us, we are what we call coffee purists. You know what I'm saying? We want to taste every note in that cup of coffee, whether it be caramel, whether it be, you know, a little citrus flavor. Doppio Gang exists to let other coffee consumers come together with coffee professionals and actually understand the cup of coffee that they're drinking, whether that's like where this cup of coffee is coming from, if this cup of coffee was produced in a responsible way that is like beneficial, not detrimental to the environment, and even like providing education on what that looks like in the year of our Lord 2019. There's also the side where a lot of people go into coffee shops and they don't know what they're drinking, and so we'll just, you know, in the past, we want to do a lot more of this, but in the past we've done like little series where today we're talking about what a macchiato is and what makes up a macchiato and how to serve a macchiato and why different shops serve macchiatos in different ways, so that when a consumer comes up to the cash register and they're looking up at that menu and they see macchiato, they have some idea of the ratio to coffee to milk that they're getting and why they would rather get a macchiato versus a cappuccino. That's a big goal of Doppio Gang, is to actually like bring together and lessen the gap of knowledge between the coffee professional and the everyday coffee consumer that's not a professional. And so, you know, it's a gang because, you know, every once in a while, if you're part of Doppio Gang, the way to get jumped in is you either have to like buy somebody a cup of coffee, a Doppio, and have them try a Doppio for the first time, or just spread the knowledge. So if you're out there spreading knowledge, and you know, you're down with the crew, you're probably in Doppio Gang. Most likely, if you're in Coeur d'Alene and you are in the coffee culture, I would say that you would call yourself a part of Doppio Gang. And if you want to be a part of Doppio Gang, just buy somebody a Doppio or try a Doppio, and or just a double espresso. It's all it is. It's not anything crazy. It's just, most coffee shops call it an espresso. Most people don't say Doppio, but if you really about this street life, you'll say Doppio. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. Some people think it's cheesy. Other people, you know what I'm saying, just represent the gang and they're proud of it. So we're out here, Doppio Gang. We're in the streets. Yeah. So it's crazy. I got into coffee. I started drinking coffee because my dad had this leftover coffee, and so my dad would like leave this cold coffee in his coffee pot, and so I would go up and I would drink his coffee, and I would be like, yo, this is nasty, but I'm a grown man because I'm drinking coffee right now, even though it's cold, that was my first experience with like cold brew, which is the same thing, right? And then like once I got out of high school and stuff, I started going to coffee shops, just like hanging out and like taking pictures, whether it be like because I was going to school for like commercial photography, so I would like go in the back streets of Louisville, Kentucky, taking pictures, and then I would go to like Heine Brothers and I would drink coffee there, or like Highland Coffee, because that's what everybody did. They just went in coffee shops, and I knew nothing of coffee, but I knew everybody hung out in coffee shops, so we would just go there and hang out. And then as time went on, I went from drinking cups of coffee to like cups of coffee with espresso in it, because I learned that there's this drink called a red eye, or like a shot in the dark. In Kansas City, there is this coffee shop called Oddly Correct. And at Oddly Correct, they didn't sell drinks with milk. It was just like, you could get pour overs or double shots or Americanos. And so I was like, yeah, I'll try Doppio. And I think that's the first place that I actually tried a Doppio, was at Oddly Correct in Kansas City. Shout out to them. And I remember tasting this and being like, yo, I am, you know, I'm fancy right now. I'm drinking, I look like I'm in Italy drinking just an espresso, and was just sitting there sipping it and was like, yo, this is mad nasty, but I want to feel fancy, right? And so I just drank this drink, and over time I was like, oh, it's an acquired taste, and fancy people have to acquire this taste of espresso. So I drank the espresso, and I remember thinking, yo, this is not good, but neither is Pellegrino, and I like Pellegrino, and they would give you Pellegrino with the double shot of espresso. So I'm like, I'm double fancy because I'm drinking Pellegrino and espresso. So I was like, this is Kansas City, but I feel like it's, you know, Paris, you know what I'm saying? And so I remember drinking it, and over time I was like, yo, this is giving me so much more energy than just a cup of coffee. I don't understand it, because full cups of coffee would like put me to sleep. And so I was like, I'm just gonna keep drinking this double shot of espresso. And I remember at one point I was like really looking, because I have really bad ADHD, which is why I have 13 podcasts. And I remember like drinking this double shot of espresso and thinking like, yo, I'm really focused right now. I don't understand what's happening. And then as I learned, I like went from, because at that point in my life too, I was like discovering my ADHD, and then I like got on Adderall, and Adderall was like this terrible experience in my life where there was like these super high highs, super low lows, and all of this like random stuff that doesn't apply to a coffee culture video. But I remember getting off of Adderall and thinking, yo, I wish I had this same experience of focus that I had. But then I remember, yo, coffee does like kind of the same thing, where I'm staying focused for this amount of time. There just wasn't this like super crazy high, super low low. Like I love that I could drink something that dates back to like before the 15th century, but that has been like not necessarily helping people, but that humans have been consuming, and that has, for me now, it's become like this thing that has connected me and my dad. It then connected me and my wife. Our relationship, like we grew our relationship literally sitting in coffee shops, getting to know each other. And so a lot of people say that like ADHD is like driving a Ferrari with like tricycle brakes, and every once in a while that Doppio helps me get stronger brakes, you know what I'm saying? So that is a ADHD double espresso version of my connection with coffee.
Thanks again for watching this episode of our Coeur d'Alene Coffee Culture series. If you enjoyed this episode, would you please hit the like button? If you're watching this on YouTube, would you please hit subscribe? And if you're watching this on Instagram or Facebook, would you please be sure to follow us? Stay tuned for our next episode of our Coeur d'Alene Coffee Culture series. Coming down the pike, we have, I believe, Evans Brothers, Coeur d'Alene Coffee Company, and some others. So be sure to stay tuned. We got some great content coming. Thanks again for watching.